welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com's weekend show. This is what is this? This is the Broiler Chicken Show. Back. Anyway, welcome back to the frivolity. Let's see. I better click on all these buttons and make sure I can see what you people over on YouTube are seeing. Gonna try and do a little bit less rhetoric today. Good luck. And try and interact with you guys a little bit more. I spent about an hour or so, it seems, of late at the beginning of these videos just barking at you guys, which probably isn't really too constructive. But having said that, always fun checking in with the public here on the weekends. And I kind of like this format. I think it'd probably be better that we speak less to the public. And if you really want to come in and listen to all the rhetoric and all the trade ideas and stuff, come on and join the site. Join our community. I will say our community is totally awesome. In fact, I was in the lounge yesterday. I could probably show you screenshots, but I was in the lounge yesterday just chit-chatting. Saturday morning, so it's kind of like just shooting the shit. I'm trying to help one guy. One thing I don't think is very healthy for anybody in this space is to pop into a lounge and then just start asking people, hey, where should I take profits? What should I be doing here? What do you think I should do on this thing? That's dangerous, right? We're all supposed to work with a plan. We're also, and like I've been, doing these public barks for 10 years now. Been running this site, been teaching this school program for 10 years. Of course, no big shill right now, so I don't need to go through the whole, you got to try to sign up, you got to do it, you got to do it. School term's already started, so if you missed the bus, you can go, oh, bye bus. You're the little kid racing behind the school bus trying to get the school bus to stop, or else you'll be left behind. You might, if you want. This was the introductory week to our level 1 program. Grim said he had a pretty good session with the students. Good to see a fair number of people in class. Nothing. I was, TRI management does like to shit its pants on a consistent basis. I don't know whether that's justified or not, but actually, I was pretty pleased with the amount of people who were participating in the education program this term. I am teaching the level 3 program again. And I think we got about a good dozen or so students in the level 3. So we should have a fun term. Everybody do lots of learning. But did pop into the lounge yesterday morning, like I said, trying to add my 2 cents pointers, people trying to figure out what to do here. If anything, the good part about where we are in the cycle right now is, believe it or not, I actually think if you come to the market now and you start thinking about buying venture capital and stuff, you might have to go through a few more months of pain. But I think that the absolute fall off the cliff, 90% loss on your investment ideas, I think those days are behind us. I could very easily see the market just sort of bump along here for a few months and maybe go back down, test the recent lows. But to all intents and purposes, if you actually pull up a lot of these price charts, we are in zones where institutional players, 1%, all that kind of stuff, are reloading after they sold all their ideas to the public at lofty prices a year or so ago. And we're probably getting ready to do the whole darn thing all over again. So I hope you're excited. I actually through the frivolity of the market about, I guess 6-8 months ago, tried to warn people to just cool your jets. What often happens, sadly, is the public, of course, is most interested when asset prices, and we can use the Bitcoin chart here as an example, and really almost any of these markets. I suppose the good part about Bitcoin and Ethereum these days is that they have been technically securitized. I think that the 1% has bought into their shill. So I think the 1% will do everything in their power to make sure that they make money at this. And, if you want to use Mr. Fink as your 1% proxy, he basically came out, and it was about a year and a half ago, right here. I remember I was on vacation too. And the market was working its way down into very typical June, July bottoms. I mean, not really anything shocking. In fact, I might even argue that the current price chart is probably going to ultimately end up looking very similar to what you see over here through this, troughing window. And then, of course, we ran out all the idiots that really don't know how to manage money. We're just sort of riding the inertia of the previous crypto sort of VC cycle. Ran all of them out, throw them in jail, and all that kind of fun stuff. And you might even argue that once that SBF trial was done, it was sort of like that's the official reset. I'm surprised we don't have a picture of Klaus coming out here and telling us all to bend over and take it up the ass. But crypto market official resetting, and woo, up we go. Of course, Mr. Fink here, of course, I would argue that he probably took a pretty big chance here. At the same time, too, understanding that, reload zones is exactly where you're supposed to buy. But he took a pretty big chance here coming out and touting his Bitcoin story. And I still see them, when he goes on CNBC and stuff like that, Bitcoin, they all, the old timers. Whenever I go over to my old prop firm, Johnny Oakland, Chris actually works for Top Step now. Again, it's so cool. We got another graduate I was mentioning this past week, Cypher. Cypher just passed the Top Step combine. Geez, we must have like a fucking army over there working for Hogue and Nebraska and Eddie and stuff like that. And I've never gotten a single word of thanks from all those clowns over there. The amount of people that I've sent over to them. But anyway, that's karma. I'm sure somewhere deep down, Johnny, whenever I run into Mr. Hoagland, he's always, hey, Mr. Beamish, how's it going? So, but anyway, the point here is Mr. Hoagland. And actually, have you ever heard Mr. Hoagland speak about Bitcoin, Chris? Yeah, you ever hear what he calls Bitcoin?
He mentions Bitcoin very rarely, but I think I have heard him mention beach balls in reference to Bitcoin every once in a
Yeah.
while.
So, and then, if anything, that is a really, really good analogy of what sort of the rest of the world. I mean, keep in mind, us computer people are, I would say we probably maybe 10-15% of the population. And what I see happening, which really scares me in this world, is those people that that are coming online, coming of age and stuff, they're being sort of funneled into a very sort of guided, manipulated, finessed uh, computer experience kind of idea. What I see happening now is you don't even really buy software or operating systems or anything now anymore. It's almost like this is Klaus. I'm sure Klaus sat down with Bill Gates. They were each giving each other filet. And oops, I shouldn't have said that. But I think they came up with this plan. You will own nothing. And I think the computer people probably they are probably in bed with Klaus big time. You will own nothing and you will be happy and you will just pay rent on things. And I see the software and the sort of online computer experience. And what's ending up happening is a lot of people that are sort of coming into the computer space, they're getting funneled into this sort of TikTok nonsense world. That's your online experience, just scrolling on a cell phone. So anyway, getting off topic and probably get myself into trouble. So I don't, I don't hear a lot of people. I will say that like the way that I look at this is, I think the public now, especially with the securitization of these assets, this has been taken over by Wall Street. Um, what you end up happening, of course, is long sideways consolidations that just drive everybody crazy. And you get these sort of like insta dumps. This insta dump here took us all the way back down to this big fat round number, 50 G's. If we change this chart actually to a clothesline chart, this is making lower highs and lower lows. I don't know whether I have that on the screen or not, but anyway, we'll just work off of this. Did get a nasty bearish trending signal here from our time-tested moving averages. Hopefully, kind of like what you saw over here, we roll over bear and then the market quickly recovers and we get back onto the bull. And then we start making actual W's and breaking out. One person on the website was like, well, doesn't this look like a bull flag? And I hate to say it, but with these lower highs and lower lows and this expanding range, like if I maybe we better. Well, actually, I could probably just show it to you on the lounge. I was chatting in the lounge yesterday, Saturday, right? Shooting the shit. Not really anything definitive, but I get the feeling that this is a broadening wedge. I do see this chart pattern being passed around the net, and especially on the site, I've seen people post it a few times, and I'm just a little concerned that it's just people are just too. This is a bull flag, and I hate to say it as an old gnarly technician, I might disagree. Um, here's our Bitcoin weekly close. That's not this is not the same chart pattern. So this is a little bit dangerous here. Having said that, what I said to the person who was like, "Oh, I'm feeling bullish. I want to rock and roll," and I'm like, "Okay, I mean, the good part about what happens here is everybody's, and this is why it's so important for us to maintain this whole freedom of speech. Everybody in our society should be entitled to their own opinion. I mean, that's what makes a market. If anything, that's half the reason why I love the market itself. And frankly speaking, and let's just see whether you guys know or can remember or not. Are we supposed to trust any politician ever? I mean, let's just call a spade here, folks, and let's make this as simple and easy on you as possible. Are you ever supposed to trust a politician? Ever? I mean, let's be brutally honest about this. The answer is no. Well, I mean, the cute little saying, of course, that we pass around the site is, and one of my old clients, when I used to be a broker, he used to have his favorite line. And how are you supposed to tell when a politician's lying? And this has never changed in the entire time I've been working in the markets. I'm trying to find the silly YouTube page here. Always, as always, right? Brian has way too many tabs open. Doesn't know which page he's supposed to be on. Where the hell's the damn YouTube page? Not that one. It's not that one. Maybe it is this one. Is that us there? Actually, I was singing songs. These I was telling Chris I absolutely hate listening to the radio because it's stunning how the 1%, the woke, the oligarchs, I don't know who the fuck you call it, they are just programming our children listening to the radio these days. It's just awful. I can't even listen to the radio anymore. The propaganda and the programming is just over the top. So I found a whole bunch of albums from JoJo's music collection from the 1990s and 2000s. This is a song that was on one of the albums I was playing the last time I guess Thursday when I was driving, leaving around. And I was asking Chris whether he could remember this or not, but this might actually be a little bit older than Chris. That's how old I am. Anyway, so that's kind of a funny joke. Okay, now where the hell was I supposed to be talking about? Where's the YouTube page? I don't know what the heck I've done with it. Where are those? Brian's such a doofus. I'm gonna waste a whole bunch of time here. It's gotta be one of these damn pages. That's the one I'm on. No, not that one. That's over there. Oh, Brian, you're such an idiot. Oh, here we go. There we go. Found it. I don't know why the hell I have that over there. Hey, there we go. 32 people watching. Whoa, awesome. What is this pattern called? Oh, this is called a broadening wedge pattern. And I hate to say it, but broadening wedge patterns actually usually resolve bearishly. Unless, of course, it's a broadening wedge going the other direction. And actually, a gentleman that I really like that we have on the site. In fact, I could probably show you in our library. All right, now I'm gonna blow up my computer here. Where's our library? Our library is so awesome, so awesome. Every kind of resource you need to try and keep yourself honest as a trader. It's in here. So where do we have it here? It's in one of these. I don't know where I put it. Might be in here. Yeah, here we go. Burkowski's chart pattern set. I love this guy. This guy's like a pure, beautiful technician. Oh, but TRI is gone and changed this. Darn it. That was not supposed to be what I wanted to see. Where is Bulkowski's website? Maybe I have it over here. The pattern site. There it is. Yeah. So anyway, these are cheat sheets over here. But this gentleman, oh, I absolutely love listening to him. So every kind of chart pattern you could possibly think of here, and he does like statistical studies and stuff like this. That's the one thing I like about this guy. Oh, excuse me.
All right, 3. That means it's going to be a good day.
Oh, yeah, that was 3, wasn't it?
Also, you get some comments in the
3 times lucky
in the lounge.
Where are chart patterns? All right, I love look how much detail this guy goes into it. I mean, if you really want to learn chart patterns, this guy's the shit. He's just so awesome. Anyway, broadening wedge, descending. This is what I think is going on here. So if you look at that pattern and then you look at what Bitcoin's doing here, this is why I said to the gentleman the other day, I don't think that this is a bull flag. As you can see, these lows, this is a steeper trend line than these highs. That's what's called a broadening wedge. I mean, we'll see. Only time will tell. The one thing that I told this gentleman who said this is, look at all I want to see is I want to see us making higher lows and higher highs. That is the definition of a bull market. It's pretty straightforward. And a lot of times with this technical analysis stuff, you want to try and make this as simple and as common and as clear cut as possible, right? And really, M's are bearish, W's are bullish. I suppose you could argue that actually might be a good example of a bull flag. Notice how like this line right along here, if you drew it, and this line, if you drew that, they would basically be parallel. And you would argue that, okay, well, there is the flagpole. This is the flag, and the destination is the equal measured distance from the bottom of the flagpole to the top, which is basically up in this area here. So that's legit. But this pattern, that's not a bull flag. And what's scary, of course, is if you go back to Mr. Bulkowski's site and you look at descending, broadening wedges. Some of these, oh boy. I mean, this is what we want to see. We want to see the broadening wedge stop making lower lows and start making higher highs. Um, Usually there's some big capitulation event here at the end of this, and you get some sort of violent reversal. But actually, there was a better example that I showed in the lounge yesterday. I don't know whether I have examples here. Uh, Interesting. Actually, I think I think he's got a whole bunch of them here. It's not bad. I mean, just give me, I want to see this kind of pattern stop where you have lower lows and then we start making higher highs. There's a W that Brian likes, and of course, away we go. This is what scares me, is that I think that the Bitcoin chart looks a lot like this. So unfortunately, we could very easily just grind our way lower here. This is what bothers me. And what I really want to see is I want to see this stop making lower lows, stop making higher or lower highs, and start making W's. It's pretty straightforward. But anyway, this was the image that kind of bothered me, that when I looked at the Bitcoin chart, I go, geez, that looks awfully similar. So I know there was a gentleman who is fairly popular on the interneting and in technical analysis land, who was putting out comments that he believed that he saw a bull flag pattern. In fact, it got one of our site members, and I was a little bit cross at him. Mr. I mean, we can always name names, Peter Brandt. Anybody who's a fan of Peter Brandt, fuck, when he first came into the crypto space, he got absolutely railroaded by the crypto kids. Mr. Brandt, in my opinion, is a very, long time tested. Ironically enough, you do really well in this game if you just simply respect risk management, understand that you're not going to be right all the time, and quite often you're going to be wrong and you're going to get stopped out. And if anything, the sign of you lasting in this business is more how you handle being wrong versus how you handle when you're right. When you're right, and ironically enough, in this game, the key to making a lot of money, and why the sort of banging out doubles kind of strategy is so works so well, is once you're proved right by the market, your job, ironically enough, is don't do anything, just let it run. The old expression is cut your losers, let your winners run. Yeah, you want a little tidbit for your journals? Hey, that's a line I never heard before. There you go. Cut your losers, let your winners run. At the same time, too, you've probably all heard me say this ad nauseum. Our job is not to predict the future. One thing that kind of bugs me when I see people sort of put out these kind of messages, hey, this is a bull flag. They're kind of predicting, hey, I'm saying that this is going to go straight up from here. So if you're bullish, you better buy or you're going to miss the boat. And I don't think that that's in anybody's best interest whatsoever. So Mr. Brandt came out with his bull flag prediction. I think it was like right in here. Market started moving up a bit. I know there was one gentleman on our site. Like I said, I got rather cross with him. He came in the lounge, just FOMO. Oh my God, I want to buy a house down in the Caribbean and escape this banker slavery shit that I live in world. So I'm going to go FOMO all in. Peter Brandt says it's a bull market and I got to buy because it's a bull flag and I'm going to miss the boat. I mean, how did that turn out? My message to everybody on the site repeatedly, past 10 years I've been doing this, is we trade setups. If you want to come out and say, hey, I'm super bullish, you say, all right, I've got 3 reasons to justify being bullish. I've got trade location, I've got indicator confirmation, I've got price structure. And when I see all 3 of these things come together, I know, because I've done my homework and I've studied this, that 60 to 70% of the time, the results are favorable, and I'm going to force myself to take some profits. if the market moves at least twice the risk that I'm taking on this and sell half. So I get all my original money back or something along those lines with a nice little profit. And then I'm just going to let the market go. And if the market just keeps going in my direction, then hey, I get to go shopping for Lambos down the road. Stops at scratch on the remaining and just let the trade work. That's what we as professions or professionals in this space must ideally espouse towards. Just coming out and making blind predictions, market's going to go up, market's going to go down, that doesn't make us money in the market. When you're right, of course, social media will all circle jerk around you and cover you in their love liquids for an interesting mental image there for you. And when you're wrong, ironically enough, what's fascinating is when people are proved wrong in this space, you don't really hear, especially in like social media, you don't really hear anything of it. Nobody is ever held to account for making a bad call. And if anything, one of the things that I like to espouse to, I don't know what the right word is I like to see my tweets age well. Still haven't really bought on to this X. I mean, what do you say? My exes tweet well, my exes age well. I think the guy who bought this platform, he didn't really think this through very well. So a lot of people still say that they tweet. And then there's other people going, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to say. I will say the one thing that I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to get the fuck off this platform and get over to the crypto version. And that's got to be a priority for me by the end of the year. Chris, if you could write that down. Brian has made a New Year's resolution here in the middle of September that he would New Year's resolution by January 1st. He's got to get the fuck off this platform and get all set up on the crypto DeFi version of this and kiss this platform goodbye. I really got to get moving on this. What you saying? You're gonna hold me to account? You know what? I'll tell you what. What I'll say is I will send you a crisp US C note, $100 bill, if by January 1st I am still on this platform. How's that for a deal?
Okay, deal.
Will you accept it? And then that way be like, Brian, my New Year's C note, you're going to be buying my Courvoisier tonight. Are you still on Twitter?
Grand Marnier. But my
Grand
question
Marnier,
was,
there you go. Merry Christmas.
what was the name of the crypto alternative for this? Because I'm not sure I know myself.
We got 40, 50 people watching. I know there's probably somebody around. There's a few people who keep reminding me of the platform. So somebody on the site DM me or DM Chris, hey, this is the platform, but I would delay him. Okay, so and I have a bad habit of doing this. I have more fun just chit-chatting with you guys and just sort of telling you my 2 cents versus actually giving you any sort of value here. So let's try and crisp this up here a little bit today. But Chris, what the hell? He just got $100 bill US handed to him if I'm still on Twitter by the end of the year. Okay, so quick review of the newsletter. We had ChatGPT come up with a commentary because I was running a bit slow here today. I mean, the bottom line here is the Fed went and cut rates. Was it slightly political? Did they really need to cut rates by 50 basis points? I don't know. This is a tough one. This is going to be one of those kind of things where because the employment data was so fucked up by government that they have a lot of cloud cover to sort of cover their asses. Well, they can just say, well, there's 800,000 fewer jobs. So obviously the labor market isn't as strong as we thought previously. So we can start removing the restraint. And since the data was so egregiously wrong, way to go, Labor Department, way to go, deep state, way to go, 1%, way to go, oligarchs. You pulled this con job off beautifully. So now we can go ahead and cut rates, blame it on the erroneous data. But oh, what a coincidence! This is all happening within about a month of a major political event that is definitely going to shape the direction and the destiny of a country going forward. And interestingly enough, I do believe that Mr. Trump actually threatened to fire Mr. Powell when he was summoned to the White House over his policy of interest rates there when Mr. Trump was president. I don't know whether any of you remember that or not, but that was quite out of the ordinary. I've shown you plenty of times different charts over the years how I think Mr. Trump was actually correct. And I do believe that the 1% and the bankster class definitely are working against him. And what I find fascinating, though, and this is what leaves me scratching my head a little bit, is I think as sort of a compromise, the bankster class reached out to Mr. Trump and said, look, we'll throw you a bone. And the gentleman who we will appoint to run your Treasury Department will be one of our people in the form of JP Morgan's Joey Diamond there. I am a bit curious as to what the plan is about that. That was a bit surprising. That news came out about a month or two ago, and nobody's talking about that anymore. Like they did it so far long ago that ironically enough, it doesn't really matter if Mr. Trump wins or not. If Joey is put in place there in the Treasury Department, the bankster class they're just going to keep doing what they do. One interesting caveat to all that, and of course, this always opens up a bunch of can of worms. Ironically enough, 10, 20 years ago, man, if you said anything against the Jews, oh my God, you were instantly basically Satan. And of course, because they own the media, oh my goodness, they would point that media gun at you and just destroy you. And one argument you could make why I don't have that many views and my message of changing the world, make it a better place and stuff is because I think that the 1% hears my message and goes, whoa, we better shut that guy up. And the easiest way to do it, of course, is just sort of, shadow ban on YouTube. Like all our team, they're constantly like, why do we have so many few views? It just doesn't make any sense, and you get these idiot punk kids coming into the market, Gucci sweater wearers and all that nonsense. And they got hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers, well, all that. And they're just spewing garbage. Anyway, it is interesting nowadays with this whole Palestinian issue that people are actually standing up and going, maybe the Jews have a little bit too much power in our society. Right? Anyway, it'll be interesting to see who wins this election coming up here. I don't even think it's even in our best interest to try and predict what's going to happen here. They always say that you can't write better fiction than reality. It is just simply impossible. So go figure. Okay, so there's your sort of rant about interest rates. Do I think that cutting interest rates is actually in our society's best interest right now? And this is just purely from an economics perspective. You all know exactly what I've been barking about here forever. So it's certainly nothing new here. Ironically enough, these interest rate cuts that they are doing right now, they are going to do nothing more than just reignite inflation. And ironically enough, I would actually make the argument that really this is the banksters' plan. And we're just basically following the plan. What a big surprise. You can see here 1943, 1944, 2024. Coincidence? Big major European wars going on. Actually, the only thing that's missing here, I suppose, is there's not a big fat Asian war going on, but I think that comes near the end of the decade. And think of things like the Korean War happening in like 1950. But from an inflation perspective, here we are. We got right down nice and low, and then all of a sudden 50 basis point rate reductions with the stock market breaking out to new highs. That doesn't make any sense. Remember, the stock market's the ultimate leading indicator. What they are going to do, though, is if stocks are breaking out to new highs, then that means higher prices. what is the definition of inflation? It is technically higher prices. So if stocks, which are the ultimate leading indicator, are breaking out to new all-time highs, well, the inflation's coming back. And what's interesting is the trade union sort of argument is building steam down in the States. In my country, it's hilarious because half of these people work for the government in unionized positions. I think a government right now in Canada, what the worst of that little mini recession we had, the Canadian government represented something like 80% of the economy. I mean, this is why communism fails. This house of cards here in China, it will break. It's just a question of when the break comes, do they do nothing more than just 50% retracements like they did down in the States in 1987? They labeled it in the media as some crash, but really it was just a technical correction, nothing really out of the ordinary. I do personally think that we are in a similar cycle to 1940s, 1860s, 1780s, 1700s, 1620s, 80-year cycle. It's shocking how incredibly repetitive this is. And the worst part about this is we humans never learn from this. And I think the banksters, that's exactly what they want. So they make damn sure that things like the education system does not teach people that inflation is a completely made up word made up by the bankster class themselves to justify this cycle of inflating the fiat currency or the hegemony currency de jure to the point where its credit is completely run. As soon as you cannot borrow another dime against the US dollar, the market just will not take it, then they will just hop to a new hegemony fiat currency. And, it's interesting at TRI, some of our members believe that it's going to be something along the lines of some sort of carbon credits bullshit rammed down our throat by, WEF people and try to. The next step is this globalization. I don't actually think we're quite there yet. That's too big of a leap. I think right now, the next leap forward, and especially for these Western countries, say, specifically North America, is the Amero. So I'll go on record as saying that's what our next step is, where North America and the economic bloc actually moves towards more of a euro and Europe, what they pulled off there in Western Europe, and of course the guy over there in Eastern Europe's trying desperately to smash all this. But my hunch is that when the United States credit fully runs out, then the Great Reset will be this thing called the Amero. And fascinatingly, this is so cool because it just goes to show history just constantly repeats itself. I was surprised this weekend. One gentleman that I like to listen to, he's a Westerner here in my country, which means he's a little bit more conservative, a little bit less woke. The right wing of our society here still very much kind of like a great analogy is they had like a YouTube channel for him, all that kind of crap, and all of the speakers had big honking beards as a good analogy of lumberjack, oil rigs, cattle herders, those kind of guys, pretty conservative. But what was fascinating was just listening to them. None of these people were around through the last cycle, which I find fascinating. Oh, I'm not quite sure where the hell the damn tweet is here. Because the current this Trudeau dickhead, another massive scandal. This one to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Stunning scandal going on in my country. Once again, yet another. Just the corruption is just insane. Yeah, okay. This video, if you want to sort of get like a conservative take on this country, fascinating that none of the people on this panel, and I like this guy. I think he's definitely a Canadian. You can definitely hear it in him. He's very polite. He's very well mannered. I'm sometimes way over the top, too controversial. Say stupid things. This guy, Clyde. In fact, actually, where's Meg? Meg's here. I always like mentioning her because they're from Alberta, and Casey, he likes to listen to this guy too. But anyway, they are actually the talk is, and this is exactly the way it was before. And we've gone through this like in my lifetime. I know we've gone through at least two other of these cycles exactly the same. So now the rest of this country that they're so young, they didn't even they weren't even alive or cognizant of Canadian national politics then. We went through all of this where it's sort of like Quebec, you don't like the terms of the deal, then get the fuck out. And then keep in mind, Quebec never wanted to be in Canada to begin with. So it's fascinating, you know, there was a war fought, and ironically enough, what a surprise, right around the same cycle periods. And this one was like what, 250 years ago between the British and the French lost. And the people in Quebec, they even have right on their license plates, Je me souviens. Of course, do you think an Indian right off the fucking boat would have any idea what this Je me souviens actually stands for? And then I would ask the question, why would the Liberal Party of the country, who is quote unquote federalist, if you understand Canadian politics and Canadian history, why would they let in so many immigrants into the country? Actually, the number one reason was to dilute this. And yet, the irony of it all is that it doesn't matter all this nonsense immigration shit. It isn't changing anything here. And my hunch here is before the end of this, Canada is a short cycle. There will be another referendum by the Quebec people. And now the Quebec people, before it was, the last time we had one of these, the vote was 51-49. And it probably actually went in the way of the separatists. Jacques Parizeau, I think, was the leader then. And he was like, the reason why we lost was because of Trudeau Sr. and all of the federalist politicians constantly sending immigrants into Quebec to dilute the separatist vote. That's the reason why Canada has this absolutely insane immigration policy. I mean, it's so sad. And nobody in the public ever talks about this. But even Parizeau, when he lost the referendum there back in the 90s, he was like, the reason why we lost was because of Trudeau Sr. and his policies. And they've just done exactly the same thing. But the irony of it all here is now Canadians don't remember this because they're too damn sort of short-sighted, and it's not taught like actual what happened in the history classes. And so now we have the rest of Canada that these people don't know the history of Canada going, yeah, Quebec, if you don't like it here, get the fuck out. And I guarantee you the Quebec people are going to be like, woo, fucking A, we've got permission. Let's get the fuck out of here. And that's the end of Canada. And what's hilarious is that these people having this debate are like, let Quebec go. Let's fine, get rid of them. Will Canada be better off without them? And then we have to go through the whole process of the referendum and, Canadian, oh, no, don't go, like a divorce and all that kind of stuff. No, we got to stay together. Think of the children, all that bullshit, right? And this happened. So my hunch here is that before this Canada is a short cycle is over, there is going to be another referendum. This wound has not healed, and it is still very much alive. It's fascinating. And this actually transpired because one of the opposition parties that basically all of their politicians comes from Quebec, their name is called the Bloc. And their sole purpose is in the federal system in our capital in Ottawa, their only job since this referendum failure is do not let anything pass in Ottawa, in the country, that is not in Quebec's best interests. So it's fascinating how, this little scandal dickhead, it's stunning how much corruption this guy has brought into our country. It's fascinating how he's now done a deal with the Bloc to stay in power. And yet the Bloc has publicly said, and they have said all along, our number one priority is to ensure the destruction of this country in the end. Can't write better fiction than reality, but a fantastic analogy of these long-term cycles and how in 2017, 2018, that was when the cycle turned. And this country and all of these commodity countries around the world, I mean, look at what's going on in Russia. What a fucking joke. They're all just self-destructed. And actually, it makes perfect sense. It's exactly what's supposed to happen. And how do you explain these long-term cycles to people? Trying to tell people that Canada, you stay the hell away from here in 2020 when the whole fucking woke nonsense was going crazy. It was like I was banging my head against the wall. But I mean, people are now going, holy shit, what the hell's going on in your country, Brian? Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Wasted a bunch of time. Sorry about that. As somebody said, hey, I'm here for the crypto. Damn it. So get starting talking about the goddamn market. All right. Obviously with the election coming up here soon, I don't think it's in our best interest to make any grand sort of, this is what's going to happen. I think you're just asking for trouble. Having said that, we should acknowledge where we are on the long-term cycles. And I will say, kind of a fun little image that I put together a while ago. And I actually had people go, oh, I thought you said this was a bull. I thought you said this was a bull. And I'm like, yeah, you got to wait for it. Wait for it. Got to wait for it. So we had, of course, now it's a question of where the hell do I have this damn chart? Let's try this one. Hey, there we go. Nope, that's the stock market. So I'll get the hell out of there. It's not that one. Let's try. It's not that one. Is it way over here? Is that it? Oh, yeah. All right. Here's your Bitcoin chart. I think we had a hell of a signal there that came in about, I'm going to say about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Absolutely beautiful, sort of kind of like trader signal. You can see how the breadth on crypto. This is such a freaking cool tool because it's doing exactly the job it's supposed to do. So if you ever see, and I would ideally love to encourage you all to come to TRI and subscribe, and you can actually get this message in your inbox on a regular basis. But you can see from the breadth, everything in crypto was completely washed out there back the end of August, beginning of September. And we basically just bounced right off the bottom there. TRI has proprietary trading models that we've set up here. And this is basically everything that we teach in the education program. I learned a million years ago that any good trade idea should have 3 solid reasons to justify you taking action. And ideally, you'd like those reasons to be unrelated. So, if you pull up a chart and you say, well, I've got RSI, MACD, and stochastic all giving buy signals, sorry, that's actually just one reason. MACD, stochastics, RSI are all price momentum indicators. So that falls, all 3 of those, great, they're all buy signals, but they all fall under one category of signal. And actually, one of the questions, if I'm not mistaken, from the DB request, and I really should try and talk a bit more to this group. One of the questions coming into today, I thought I had it on here, but maybe not. Interesting. I don't see it here. Okay, I'm on drugs. What am I doing here? DDBB. I know that hello just looks fucking awesome, doesn't it? Man, I got to get in there. 2/3 the apex. Well, I don't know whether I see. The thing is, DB. Okay, so here's. I'll just talk to this one guy who appears today, but also on the Q&A document. I think maybe that's where the question was. I kind of, where did I see that question? Anyway, somebody had asked, maybe Chris, you saw the question. You're like, oh, it was over there, Brian. But somebody had asked, where did the 3-step setup come from? I think where was that question? Was it in the Q&A document? Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't there. Where on earth did I see that question? And this is why, if you guys have questions about, if you have questions, put them in the DB request room, and in that way specifically, I know where the question is. I can't find it off the top of my head. But anyway, somebody did ask. Oh, darn. Somebody did ask, Brian, where did the 3-step setup come from? And ironically enough, I would be the guy who's like, well, I mean, this comes back from prop firm trading days, and even before that, really. But the prop firms, you have to be, very, very sharp with your trading. So you'd always hear from them, 3 reasons for a trade, 3 reasons for a trade. So it started with sort of 3 reasons for a trade. And then interestingly enough, over time, keep in mind, we've been teaching this program now for 10 years. It coalesced into location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. And what I used to teach, and actually I think we even have it in our setups in the library, really good example of this trade setup. Man, I learned this a million years ago. Where do I have it? Not there. El Tangonator. So this is a good example of quite often I would, in this particular case, I'd use sort of trade location where I'd say, well, it turns out this was a AB equals CD. So technically this is a PRZ. But what I would just simply say is this was the bottom end of a trading range, maybe reload zone, that kind of idea. I would simply measure the range and ask what the 50% rule is. And if we could get a price structure that would develop down to the bottom end of ranges, where if I risk the price structure, but I take profits at the 2-to-1, you get, or not 2-to-1, the 50% level, you get a better part of 2-to-1 risk reward. In this case, you can see it 2 point, whatever that says. And if you just, I mean, how old is this? This is a chart going back to 2017. I mean, this is basically universal. But the point here is trade location. In this particular case, A, B, C, D. PRZ, this is harmonics. That's a perfectly good trade location. Then you look down at your indicators and you see that, things like my overbought, oversold message is screaming oversold. Divergence in your price momentum oscillators. And even W's coming in on things like volume momentum studies. And then finally, you see a nice W in price, and away we go. So trade location, AB equals CD, PRZs, or maybe reload zones. Could be, I mean, either bull or bear, doesn't matter. Could have also, I suppose, done foggy boggies, which is a relatively new concept we've added to the site. I sort of self-taught myself chaos theory through the sickness, and I think I think that was Spirit's gift to me. Was through those initial days of the sickness market. I really, really dug into chaos theory and really wanted to get in front of it and take ownership of it and really understand how it worked. And so I just put myself on just a religious bent. I'm going to own this chaos theory. And the good part about it actually is I've put out, I haven't necessarily added it to the education program. I probably should, but did a number of shows with Coinigy here recently. And actually, I don't even think they're included in these. These are like the old Coinigy show links. Then the people that bought out Coinigy went and fired Joe, assholes. So we don't like Coinigy anymore. It's too bad actually, because I really liked Will and Rob, but they work for that parent company anymore, so we don't like them anymore. And I'm really pissed off the way that they just summarily axed Joe. But I did a bunch of tutorials for them. In fact, we probably should take them down. They don't even deserve it anymore. Question is, where the hell do we have them? But actually, maybe it might be up here. How markets work? Yeah, fucking bombs. So done quite a bit of work with Foggenbaum and chaos theory. And as I said, what I find actually interesting. Oh, here we go. So I did a 3-part tutorial series. So if you are interested in chaos theory, what was super cool about this Foggenbaum study, and that we did these studies back when Bitcoin was right down against the bottom end of the range. And actually, this worked really well as a confluence of levels. I think this is a video. Yeah, there you go. Because at the very end of this, I combined retracements, extensions, and chaos theory to come up with some pretty good price objectives for this. And sure enough, yeah, Bitcoin went right up into those price objectives. So that was actually quite fun to watch play out. So pull up these videos if you want to learn a little bit more about chaos theory, and retracements and extensions are definitely a part of the education program to try and explain percentage movements in markets. I suppose we need to juxtapose chaos theory. Right now we're just sort of like talking it through the program, but I suppose we need official course material. Anyway, where was I going with all that? Do you dip, we dip, we dip. No, that's not what I was going on about. So we had a pretty good rally there, pretty good. And actually, like some of the signals that we had at TRI, holy crap. I mean, some of them went just absolutely crazy. As I said, location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. If we pull up that CODI, for example, pretty good looking price chart. So, and the great part about this now is that we actually have this algoritmized. So all you got to do is sign up for the site and you will have these trade location. We have now, I've fine-tuned this. So now when RSI spits out W's, you're not going to find anywhere else on the internet where you actually can have the system tell you when RSI is Wing out, and other indicators for that matter too. I mean, this is the genius of Sjord. Nobody else on the internet. This isn't anywhere. I don't know whether you can take a sound bite of that, Chris, but nowhere on the internet. And I've been on the internet since the first fucking day this thing was launched. And I don't see this anywhere on the internet. And we've got it. And what's so cool is if the fact that we can hunt for W's in RSI means we can also hunt for W's in price. We can also use things like bullish fractals. We can also, and actually I don't see it on here because there's only signals. If a signal came in, then it would show up on here, but these were the only signals that particular day. We also have key reversals. Again, you can't find that anywhere on the internet. Nowhere will you actually have a service that you can subscribe to that'll just spit out what markets are making key reversals. And actually, this model, I've combined all three: reload zones, RSI Ws. And in this case, the way that I've fine-tuned this is I want to see a W within a W in RSI. Super awesome. 2 Ws. Anybody's listened to my rantings about how to use RSI and trading with Ws. And the second W, let's see, you to people on YouTube, let's see whether you can answer the question. Let's see whether you're paying attention. What color do we identify the trade W in an RSI model? Let's see if anybody has been listening to me over the years. Glass, you're the only one here. Oh, actually, we got another person. Sting B, what color do we color? Oh, Norre. Ah, Norre. Jesus. If I swung your direction, I swear I'd want to marry you. Oh, and who's this person? Oh, look at this. What does it say? Mr. Loris Bello. All right. Mr. I don't know that I'm pronouncing that right. My eyesight is so bad. God, I think I gotta go get glasses. Anyway, super cool to see. I mean, this is exactly what we're trying to teach you in our education program. And we have the system now spitting up these signals on cue. You should all see that bullish fractal. You should all see that this is happening all within a nice, pretty little reload zone. Boosh, right in there. You look down at your indicators and you go, oh, my W's, Batman. You got Willie was nice and stupid, and coming out stupid again. And actually, you could argue even W's within W's. Oh, man, what a signal. Boom. So the problem here, though, is can you buy that there now? Probably not. And actually, an interesting analogy. These are the traders, right? Sort of short term. If you're an investor, ironically enough, like if you're a little old lady, I don't have a problem with you coming in and buying this market now. You can see we look up. This is like a weekly W. I don't know whether you can even see this. I'll just delete that shit so you can see it. Look at that. Look at that beautiful W. And of course, the signal system tells you to buy there like a fucking boss. But I could actually make the argument that, like, investors, there's nothing wrong with this signal right there. Boom. I mean, that's a W. That's in a reload zone. Look at these momentum indicators. Look at this W within W's. Oh my goodness. I mean, this market looks like it's trying to turn back up. So this just happens to be just one example. I would probably say that what we need to see, you've heard me say this 100 times before. I'd like to see like W's on the other side of this trend line for us to be like, yep, we are now a rip roaring bull. And I would not be surprised. I mean, the problem here is, did I say that the breadth indicator right now is looking like this is spitting out a buy signal today? Ugh, no way. In fact, our slow indicator is actually all the way up and overbought already. How the fuck did that happen? And the fast indicator is actually below the slow indicator. This means you better be careful. The problem here, of course, is that these are hugely wide, and you can see how they like to come back together, right? They don't like to stay this wide. So the fact that they're so wide means that there could be a hell of a lot of up and down in here before we actually start getting like a smooth transition signal, trending signal. Like this thing might just chop its way up here as these markets all sort of gyrate around here as we're going through this eclipse window and then through the political event window here. But that's where the buy signal was, over there on the 8th of September. We're now like weeks into this move. And come, I hate to say it, I don't like the look of this. That looks dangerous as hell to me. But I'm leery to get too bullish with the breadth looking like this. And what scares me is, the U.S. stock market. And again, is this another one of these fucking, the top, what do they call them? The Darling Seven or something like that. You get like 4 or 5 big cap stocks in the United States can push the whole damn market higher, but the breadth does not go higher because the broader market isn't really doing anything at all. And that's what this image looks like to me. It looks very, very dangerous. And fascinating. Like I said, well, I don't know whether I said it or not, but we just went through an eclipse. And usually the humans act really, really screwy through these eclipses. I might even make the argument on something like this. if you really did want to buy, you probably want to draw your reload zones for that entire range. And ideally, what we'd love to see is, can I get the market to come back to good old mountain man level here? And of course, remember we said that our original 3-bar fractal signal was right there. So would we maybe even get like a signal that comes in off of the last signal? Watch what happens when we put a trend line on this. I mean, I might make the argument, you want to just simply try and focus in on waiting to see if you can get in. Look at this beautiful apex of trend lines right here. Talk about a trade window. Oh my goodness, that looks sexier than sex. So the issue that I have here is I think that we're going through some sort of crazy ass human reaction to that eclipse. The eclipse was right there. And we have another eclipse coming up right, I think it's like right there. So this is an extremely dangerous window. Now, as I said, the initial reaction on the eclipse, what a surprise. It was that Fed day. Fuck me. I mean, I don't think that was an accident. It was sort of like they knew that there was going to be a bunch of chaos injected into the market, and well, let's conveniently take advantage of some of that chaos. So I'm concerned about people coming in on the buy side right here. And actually, a really good example of that is, well, there's a bunch of examples. This is a really good one in that this is actually a name that I have found in years gone by. Keep in mind, I've watched this crypto space like a hawk for like literally the past 10 years. And this name almost always rallies first. I don't know why, but it does. And, there was our last sort of insane crypto bull market. Interesting. Look at that. September 2023. I mean, you can see the W's here. Oh, what a surprise. September. Oh, here we go. I don't know whether this thing's going to take off, but it sure looks like it's trying. Hey, here we go. Can you chase that? Can you buy that there? I don't think so. Same sort of logic as all the other times. Okay, come on. Stupid computers. Draw your reload zones. And I wouldn't be surprised, wicks and tails like to be eaten. There's a bunch of trap bears right in that tail right there. That is, I mean, you can almost see it. This kind of looks like an inverted head and shoulders down here, right? Like boom, 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 boom kind of idea. So right down in this area would be, I think, the ideal buy window. Awfully tough to buy that there, but that's a really good analogy. And again, like I said there a few minutes ago, I think that this whole market actually turned up back here on the 8th right there, right? And you can see 3-bar fractal, bang, 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 buy signal there. The reason why this probably didn't show up on our screeners was probably because the momentum indicators weren't Wing out. Well, that's fine. Actually, this got a whole bunch of charts on it. So, but I mean, if we had seen W's on the momentum indicators down here, I think we probably would have gotten a buy set up there, but it just didn't come in. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point here is I don't want you buying here. Kind of missed the boat here. But at the same time, too, this guy, I think, is actually a really good leading indicator in this space. I don't know why, but I've just noticed past few cycles, and that's going back like 5-10 years. Every time we turn into a new bull cycle, this thing takes off. So there's an interesting anecdote for you to keep an eye on. I'd also say, too, when we sort of go through our entire crypto verse, these are all the names that either TRI is invested in or I've gone and bought for the little old lady portfolio. And ironically enough, when I get back from Liam tonight, a huge job I have to do is move a lot of these coins off of the ledger and onto some sort of centralized exchange because it's now time to buy. And I've got a bunch of dry powder, and I actually asked the community recently. I had some money stolen. What's the best thing to do? And everybody's like, well, the stolen funds don't really reflect your percentage performance. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally take the money that was stolen from the account and just put it back into the account out of my pocket. It was an error that I did on my part. And it had absolutely nothing to do with the performance of the actual portfolio. And I don't think the portfolio should suffer over my ignorance. So I think I'm going to just take the punch in the nose personally. I'll just fund it out of my own account or maybe TRI or something. And if I refund the account with that capital that was stolen, and the capital that's in the account, I'll have a nice good, $5,000-$10,000 of dry powder, and I want to get out there and start buying. I'm not going to go and throw the whole damn thing in at once. You know how I operate, but I'm definitely going to be working stink bits. And, like Loom here, if I can find a centralized exchange where this is actually traded, and this is one of the names that it's a little tricky to actually trade these names if you can't do the DeFi thing or you can't do Binance. But we'll see how we go. Wish me luck. But you can clearly see if Brian's going to work a stink bid, nobody should be surprised. There's Brian's favorite fib staring you in the face right there. Don't be surprised if your Brian is in here on the buy side at about, what is that? That's about, let's call it 4.5 cents, somewhere in there, 4.5, 5 cents, anywhere in that window. I'll be more than happy to buy some of that. Long and short of it here, it is now time to finally start stepping up. This might take a few months. We might go through one of these kind of scenarios, big rally up, and then just swoon as we sort of work our way into the end of the year and into the election and all the uncertainty around that. But just try and think of the big picture. The reason why I think that this market is near some sort of bottom, you tell me. Does this look like we're at the bottom end of a trading range? Where's the top end of the trading range? Well, it looks like it's way up there. That's 10 times the current price. If I force myself to come in here and accumulate this thing down at the bottom end of the trading range, is there a half decent chance for me to see at some point over the next year or two, this market can work its way back up to there? I mean, geez, that's not really very far away. If we can get that reload zone pullback and I get filled down here, is it realistic? I mean, it's probably going to do that by the end of the day. But is it realistic to think about? Yeah, well, let's see. Maybe the market will just W out along here. And you see all these little spikes. These little spikes here are the opportunity for the smart money to sell halves on doubles and establish risk-free trades so that when it does do this, you're just playing with the market's money. Maybe you sell some more up top here. It's up to you. Maybe you didn't sell any. I can tell you that, this thing, look how high it was back there in that last 16, 17 cycle, went all the way up there. I might actually argue that really, you want to see, speaking of fog and bombs, really, I would expect at some point, and I'm a bit surprised it didn't happen there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're bang, up in this area here. Test of the old highs. If we can break out through that high, then really, we probably should head up into this area. So, and really, the cool part about this, you can play connect the dots, and it kind of gives you even a time frame when to look for it. We can go boom, boom, and of course, we know that these cycles love to top out around November of 2026. So, or 2025. So that's actually saying that probably the top comes in somewhere around there. So what a surprise. 2.618 sure looks like this thing wants to run up into something like that. Well, it's just playing connect the dots. It might take a little bit longer, maybe into the end of the year, something like that. We'll see what happens. Anyway, point I would just simply say is because we are down at the bottom end of these ranges here, I have to force myself to go in and start buying. In fact, actually, I even put a tweet out to that effect. And how do you say that? I even put an X out to that effect. That doesn't make any sense. What the fuck is an X? At least when you say tweet, people know what the hell you're saying. And then, of course, we get into this now. Which fucking screen is this on? Sorry. Was it this one? Oh, Jesus. I did it again. I don't know. Mind you, we started pretty late today, didn't we? Anyway. I did answer the three-step setup question. So whoever and actually, we have to give a shout out to. So hopefully you understand location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. That is basically the three components that I learned a million years ago. And then the second part to that, and this is a shout out to Grim. And Grim was one of our first. I think he was the second intake for our education program. That's how long Grim's been around TRI, and he loves teaching the level one program. So I think the world of Grim, and I think he is an excellent keep you honest kind of guy. Very level headed, very down to earth. Doesn't really get too excited. Doesn't get too upset. Not like me. I mean, fucking, I'm an emotional roller coaster sometimes. It seems in comparison. Um, but I even put a tweet out to that effect recently. Things like, do you hear of Gucci sweater wearers anymore? I mean, they're all gone. Uh, Crypto, I mean, you come on here. Is anybody talking crypto here? I don't even know who these people are. Janet Jackson? Pink? Football references? Doesn't look like there's anything crypto going on here anymore. That's how you can tell this market's near a buy, which is so funny. Um, so try and remember though, Brian's usually right. Uh, the great part about this is I've gotten to the point now. I mean, ideally, I teach you guys, we ideally want to be right about 60, 70% of the time. If you can consistently be right, 66, 2/3, and you force yourself to get paid when you are right 2 to 1 versus to risk taken, blah, blah, blah. You can make a very, very good living at this. In fact, actually, you want to see a really good example of what that looks like from a day trader's perspective. Sometimes in the day trading world, it can be just simply something like identifying a level. Turns out there were 5 different reasons to justify taking a trade at this level. So I think I meant my 3 different reasons. They were all trade location, which was kind of interesting. And sometimes it can just be as simple as work your order, bang, work your take profit order. And this is a 9-minute chart. So basically within 18 minutes, boom, you're filled, boom, you're filled. Merry Christmas, get the fuck out of here, your day's done. In 18 minutes, on a big boy, this is like a $500 you made in a day in 18 minutes. That's your whole fucking job. The rest of the time, you do absolutely nothing. So, that's the irony of all this. I suppose in this one, Brian's usually right. Brian's usually early. I was early by, I guess, about maybe 10, 15 minutes. I did have to take a little bit of heat on this candle, but bang, you're filled. Merry Christmas. Get the fuck out. So the point here is the only reason why I'm usually right is because I've been playing this game forever. And I actually force myself to come in and sell against highs and buy against lows. And ironically enough, that's extremely difficult for the public to do. And the public usually buys against highs and they usually sell against lows, do the exact opposite. And the public usually loses money. So, I mean, you know how all this goes. But what I wanted to say, or I put out a tweet the other day, which I thought was super cool. Try and remember, folks, this is the only business when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. Write that down because it's incredibly true. And, this is what I was trying to get at earlier. The only reason why I bang out as many doubles as I do when we go into bull markets is because I force myself to come in and buy this stuff when it's on sale. And of course, nobody in crypto Twitter is even the slightest bit interested in this stuff when it's on sale. Here's an interesting anecdote of the current market state. When the price is running up like this, half of my job is to stop TRIers from chasing. Because remember, this is where Gucci sweater wearers come out and they're just like, and remember Dav, I mean, that guy, somebody at in fact, This is actually a request that I'm going to put out. I don't know whether it's a good idea to put this on the public broadcast, but it doesn't matter. I forgot to do it on the Friday broadcast. We need to rename the Davo signaling system. I mean, it's been a million years since he's been at the site, and I really don't want to keep making reference to that guy. Um, so we are going to, I think, maybe have a contest on the site to rename the Davo, which is just nothing more than W's and indicators and W's and price, sets up trades. But we do have a free signaling system on the site, TRI's pre-builts that are for the public that we just named Davo. I would like to give this a new name. So if anything, everybody who is a site member, we got to figure out some sort of contest or something for the renaming of this trading setup signaling system. I don't want to call it Davo anymore. So we'll leave it open to the community. I won't even inject my ego or opinion on this. If you want to DM me, if you want to post in the lounge, what's an appropriate name for just basically W's and indicators and W's and price. Feel free to reach out. Maybe we'll just call it the W Hunter. I don't know. Anyway, that being said, here nor there. Hopefully you've all learned, right? You cannot chase these markets. And if anything, what I would strongly suggest you do is just wait for some sort of signs of W's here. And if they go and punch this thing out through the top with no W's at all, that to me is scary as plump, right? I do not like that because what it means is that this is not a market structure breakout, and we're going to have to come back down, consolidate a bit, and then you'll get your signal. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is trade your setups. Well, try and find these damn setups. But where the hell was I? I guess what I was saying to you there just a few minutes ago was I'm not excited about Bitcoin here. I'm very leery. And actually, interestingly enough, I do have an open short right off of the top, still working on that Ethereum way up top. Although I don't think, yeah, there it is, way up there. I like the idea that over the near term, we could rally up into this resistance. Wyckoff check, 2.618, 877. I mean, I think there's a number of reasons. I think there was like 5 different reasons, ironically enough, that I was looking for the market to work its way up to this level. But I think once that's done, and frankly speaking, I don't even know if it can now, because it looks to me like this might even start be making like divergence in here. Oh boy, look at that. Yeah, you can see momentum is already starting to fail here. So I don't even know whether we're going to even be able to get up to these resistance levels. But this is sort of the image that I have for the broader market. And also, too, for things like Bitcoin. All these silly connection things. Where's the 4-hour Bitcoin chart? Yeah. Come on, where are you? I know you're on here somewhere. Which one was it? Yeah, this one here. All right. So same sort of thing. And we've been talking to you about this for a while. Remember a couple weeks ago? Oh, gee whiz, there's that September 7th, 8th concept. Do you see that again? This is the whole market was a buy here. And this trade actually technically is still working. You buy a whack on the double bottom on the daily chart. This turned out to be actually a daily inside bar reversal, bull rammy. Reload zones, if we look at our momentum indicators down here, you can see the divergences. You can see Willie was stupid. You can see the low here versus the low here, divergence. So I think you could make the argument there was a pretty good reason to look for the market to turn there on the 7th and 8th. And I showed you, remember that Caudy trade, like, holy crap, what a signal. I think it's a bit dangerous to come in and buy here. And I hate to say it, for something like Ethereum, I think that's a bit dangerous to buy there. And as I said there a second ago, I think it's a bit dangerous to come in and buy Bitcoin here. I think at best, I like the idea that, this is the same logic as that Ethereum chart. 2.618, trend line resistance up against previous highs, Wyckoff checks, the institutional fingerprints, all that kind of talk. We're above value, that kind of talk. Actually, interesting. I do like this guy actually pushing a bit higher here. I think that they should go and take this liquidity pool out, tag that 2.618, tag the trend line. But once we hit that, oh boy, I'm very leery about what to expect following that. And as I said, there are things like Ethereum actually look like they're even starting to top out a little bit. Where are we here? So we have the next eclipse window coming up here on the 2nd. And actually, I'm really concerned that we're going to get some sort of yawning top through that event. So same thing with most of this, whether it be the shit coins. There's your signal there. Beautiful. I mean, pop on the website. This SOL versus Australian dollars. This was a cool setup. I don't have enough time to show you all of these. TON worked pretty nicely. But this Coddy, it was in our newsletter here today because it was just such a massive move. Whether it be the Ethereum coming off its lows, I think I pulled one out of my ass there, covering some of that short right down at that bottom. And it took me forever to get a fill on this fucking thing. I mean, forever. But hindsight being 2020, I guess that was a good idea. So I'm looking pretty good here, but I really don't expect the market to work its way all the way up here. I could very easily see, work our way up, then have to come all the way back down and all that kind of talk. Was interesting. I put out a tweet yesterday just to try and get a feel for what the sort of crypto space was like. And I saw a chart that reminded me a heck of a lot of this Luna story. And keep in mind, our TRI CTO, he got us long Luna down here when it was like 50, 60 cents off of this bottom down here. I'm the technician, so I'm like, all right, I need to see a bull market. All right, big bull market. Then I need to see a pullback into reload zones. And of course, Brian, he loves his favorite fibs. So what a big surprise. Stink bids at 78.6 is getting filled. Then as the market actually starts to, and this, our price risk versus information risk, this is a really good example of price risk trade. Then the market puts in a bottom and starts to break out, and I come in on the W's and I start to buy more. That's your information risk trade. Bottom line here is a great looking trade location to load up, and you can see what happened into the stupidity part of the cycle. I mean, this thing basically, that's 10x. Remember, I showed you other assets that look like they want to do 10x. Turns out that this guy actually went all the way up to $119. And the irony of it all is that my next sell half on a double order was at 120 even. So I just missed that. If I had booked that sale at 120, I would have looked like a fucking trading god. But instead, I had to settle with the better part of 10x return on my money. And I still was holding a little bit of a bag, not much. So you can tell, right? So here I have half of the bag left. Here I have a quarter of the bag left. Here I have an eighth of the bag left. Had I gotten the fill at 120, I would have had 16th of the bag left. It turns out that I had to ride this all the way back down to zero with an eighth of my original holdings. But this is a really good analogy of why it's critical that you pay yourself on the way up. Because all those idiots that bought and were like, oh, look at me, I'm a lunatic and life-changing events and I'm a millionaire now. Fuck you, Brian. It all went to zero. Such a good lesson of capitalism, I'll tell you that much. But I saw this chart, and this is actually everything that we do at TRI. And it's everything about the 4-year risk cycles here in venture capital. You want to try and identify the early winners because when they consolidate and they get ready for the next leg into the euphoric, insane, stupid peak, these things go absolutely insane. And I hate to say it, I had even said, TRI has an incredible gift here at that I think the good Lord actually injected this person into TRI at exactly the right point. But we have an analyst here at TRI, our CTO, who I think is one of the smartest brains in the crypto space. He could very easily, if he wants to, go and create his own crypto token. And, you know, if you know him, you know how smart he is. I'm not going to name names. TRI CTO, come on the site. He actually has a fundamental portfolio of names that he identifies these things at the bottoms. And he has a name that he basically just went through this huge run up, made a bunch of money. And now Brian's looking at this and going, you know what? This is history repeating itself. And what I find hilarious, you want to know the reason why I think this is absolutely true that we've come back down into a buying window and it's time to buy is and keep in mind that this buying window, look how long it was, right? It was basically the end of May and it went all the way through to August, how long it took to actually turn. So that's like June, July, and let's call it half of May and half of August. Well, yeah, let's call it 2.5 months. So I put out a tweet and I basically said, oh, you want to see, and actually look at that. I didn't even answer the question. Come on the site and we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow, Monday. Nice little tease there for you on what the name was, what I think it looks like now, and what was the anecdotal piece of evidence that makes me believe that this is an absolute lock. Now, having said that, do I think it's going to go up tomorrow? No. Why? Well, because we don't chase. And this name's already moved up quite a bit. I'm going to put the screen away. You obviously can see it right there, but let's dig into this tomorrow morning and I will show you all of the reasons why I think that this is basically the same as this, only this is this cycle. And of course, that was last cycle. The similarities are absolutely shocking, including when I actually put this out, the response is, oh, well, that thing's going lower. And I'm like, perfect, excellent. So that made me kind of laugh. Okay, got it. At the very least, I got to look at these questions here, and whatever time I have left, I got to answer them because I don't know how I did it. I didn't really want to rant too long, and I didn't go off on too many tangents today. But as you can clearly see, we are running out of time here. And I was actually, I wasn't too late last week for Lily, but I don't want to get into the habit of just consistently being late. I should be on time. All right, so where is the AMA document? It's in here somewhere. There it is. Doink. All right, so Chris says we got a couple questions, so let's spend the time we got left answering these questions, and hopefully you feel satiated. Yeah, good job, Glass Insights. Nice. No, no. Oh, you were so close. And the second W is not teal. First W is teal. Second W is yellow. And it is the buy color. All right, let's scroll down to the bottom here. All right, let's see what we got. Hello, Brian. Hope you are well. Love your work and daily rants. Just want your 2 cents about something. Taking a look at, well, there you go. Looks like I have no choice but to talk about it now. On the weekly time frame chart, as a rational investor, would it be in one's best interest to start getting interested in taking a nibble position or reloading one original position if the weekly W does come in and confirm? Currently, we are in RLZs with confirmed divs. Willie is stupid and just waiting for the weekly W to confirm. Would be appreciated. So basically, I just said, well, tomorrow I'm going to walk you through all the reasons why this name is a buy. And now Rob just did it for you. So maybe he just saved me a bunch of work. I'm not sure. But I guess I get to show you the chart now. So since we'll just blame it on Rob, right? Where are we here? I don't want to lose that one. Those are all I mean, here is the rune chart, but I want to do all the TA. We never did talk about total three here. And I do, we just don't have enough time. Brian always gets triggered by the stupid politics of my country. Absolutely disgusted with what these people have done to my country. Sorry, everyone. It's just, this country used to be the envy of the world, and now it's just a fucking shit show. Okay, RUNE. Crypto. Well, we'll go over a look at our Binance. I mean, here's half the problem in fucking living in China. I mean, technically, it's illegal for us to be on Binance. I mean, fuck you, you stupid assholes. Like some idiot fucking silver spoon trust fund baby knows better with what I should do with my money than him. I mean, what? And the finance minister of my country. Oh, here we go. Brian's going to get all triggered. Slow down, Brian. Okay, so there is the rune chart. I've often told you that, I can't even remotely start getting bullish until I start seeing W's on other sides of trend lines. So, this kind of W right here is a little bit is sketchy, and sure enough, the shit, man, kind of the new lows. You might, I actually wouldn't have a problem actually if you did something like that. So again, well, can we get bullish here? No, maybe that's hey, wait a minute. Tagging the trend line and W's now on other sides of trend line? Son of a bitch. So that was one of the things that jumped out at me that, oh man, it looks like the turn is finally come. If we do our good old reload zones, boom, right in that reload zone. So you saw earlier how I made reference to that 78.6 buy off of the Luna name previous cycle. I think that's exactly the same level right there. And I've told you repeatedly in the past, often what you will see happen is markets will come down. They will flirt with this 78.6. Then you look back over time and you go, son of a bitch, god damn it, the market pivoted off of that damn 78.6 again. So, I mean, this is just history repeating itself. And then, the person who was asking about weekly W's a moment ago, well, I hate to say it, this, whoops, I always do that. This is now a confirmed W. That's in there. Down, up, down, breakout. So that is higher high. Now we go. How do you define a bull market? Higher highs and higher lows. So that is a higher high. You can't argue that. It's there as plain as day. The issue here, of course, is, do you really want to fine tune your purchases? I wouldn't be surprised. And actually, interestingly enough, now that this W has confirmed, I think you can go boom, boom, boom. There is your trend channel for the time being. We'll see how long this lasts. The good part about it is they did take this high out. So now that's not going to turn into an M. That will ultimately be a W down the road. But this also kind of looks like, and these are not very sustainable, but when you see these sort of cockeyed head and shoulders patterns, what I'm worried about is we probably have to come along, and you could probably even do something like that. We probably have to come along and play with this low again. I would not be surprised to see that, to be honest with you. But the good part about it is that the higher highs and higher lows, they have taken out this high here. That's pretty important. As I said earlier, when I posted that I thought that this chart looked a heck of a lot like that Luna chart, and I think that there's a lot of money to be made on this, somebody instantly came out and said, well, I'm a fan of ICT and that's a sell. So if anything, that's perfect because, at the top of the market, when I come out and I say, you know what, this looks like a short, you better leave this alone, cool your jets, all that. The instant refrain is, fuck you, Brian, that's a buy. I'm long, I'm going to get rich. So the fact that the knee-jerk reaction from the public was, that's a sell, that actually tells me that we are very much close to the bottom. And yeah, I actually kind of agree with you. Because really, what should happen here is, markets move ebb and flow. So you could make the argument that this was a really important level here, right? You probably heard me say in the past, and then we went after the stops. And that's exactly what I think that was there. Nice big fat liquidity pool right up in that area. They ran it up, cleaned out the liquidity pool, ding, 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 ding. And now the question is there any demand behind this? And if this happens on like a bearish divergence off the lower time frame charts, then I would actually agree. Remember, I'm the guy who likes to come in and sell against highs. I showed you that crude oil trade, and really not a big surprise. What do you think the odds are? We're in a reload short zone. Oh, what a surprise. That blind short there at 78.6, that is basically that crude oil trade. So that's exactly the same thing I just showed you. Now, the interesting thing about this, though, like I said, is that this is now technically bullish structure here. So you notice that in this scenario here, look at, we were just making higher highs and then lower lows. And wait a minute, something's changed. Now we're making higher highs and higher lows. So something structurally is changing about this market. And I suppose that's a good sign. Remember I had said earlier, your initial 78.6 tag, which I think actually happened there. And then remember we had said off of that Luna trade, probably a good couple months, right? It was like 2.5 months, which would be what, 60, 75 days, something like that. So that means I actually think that this thing probably won't turn up in earnest until like somewhere over here, right? Maybe like over there. And interestingly enough, remember we have our big honkin' political event down in the States right there. So I agree that I don't think it's a good idea just to, I mean, it's certainly not a good idea to go and leverage trade this. That's a terrible, terrible trade location to leverage trade. As I said, Mr. Futures Trader, you probably actually want to come in and sell against those highs. But I would just simply say if you are interested in joining the bull, you're going to take your reload zone. You're going to draw it against, obviously, you've got a key low to work with there. But now you're going to just simply draw this reload zone, and you don't know where the high is. I don't think it's in any of our best interest to predict exactly where this high is going to come in. But you're going to simply drag your reload zone tool, and wherever the height of this move is, and if you fancy yourself a sharpshooter trader, then you're going to draw that, and then you're going to draw your reload zones. And what a big surprise. What this is going to be, just exactly what you saw there, is I could very easily see them come right back down against this level. And that's going to be a liquidity hunt against that low. I might even argue how you want to time your trade. Just wherever the next market structure W actually comes in, there's your trade. But because we are where we are, it's a little bit expensive now. Hey, we're back up against mountain man levels. I like the idea. I mean, remember we had said there on the 7th, 8th, 9th, man, we had one hell of a signal. So you can see here what a big surprise. The 8th, that also was a 3-bar reversal there. And, you might even want to just simply say, Brian, I like the idea that this is some sort of floor. So I'm going to start my hunting at just nothing more than a reload zone of this range. And notice that gets you hunting down in this area. And I like the idea, sort of think inverted head and shoulders, that level there, maybe this is shoulder, head, shoulder. So any kind of buys down in this area here, I think are gifts. Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. So I like your thinking, person who asked the question. I like the fundamentals. I love the fact that TRI's CTO and a crypto expert, in my opinion, is very bullish of the fundamentals of this thing. And I see a hell of a lot of similarities between this thing and the Luna story. In fact, actually, I'm even more bullish of this guy because check this out. If we if this thing actually does turn here and we go up through these highs, Notice this thing actually was way higher in the past. So you could make the argument that this thing was a buy when we start Wing out on the other side of this trend line. Is that what's happening here now? Unfortunately, you can see all the gobbledygook. Sorry about that. But it wouldn't surprise me. You know, I this thing, and it doesn't really matter. Everybody in this market is entitled to their opinion, and be thankful for that, people. We don't want to live in a fucking Winnie the Pooh world or Vladimir Putin world where you literally can get murdered on a dime based on the fact that you don't have the same opinion as your dear leader. Each and every one of you should fight. If you are a capitalist and you actually believe in crypto and you believe in the ability of you to be able to dictate your own future going forward, I am going to wait for bottom ends of ranges. And when the public, the idiots, don't know what they're doing, are selling, I'm going to get in there and buy because everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I want to buy when everybody is selling and I want to sell when everybody's buying. You can't do that in Winnie the Pooh world. You can't do that in Vladimir Putin world. So be damn thankful and fight for your right that you actually have the freedom to do with your money as you please. Because if it's up to little dickhead dictators in China, they want to take this freedom away from us. And, you know, in China right now, they are. There's a lot. I can't go to Binance and trade because these communist dickheads think they know better. Yeah, there's a bunch of rant for you. Okay. So we can circle back around and talk a little bit more about Rune tomorrow, but I think in a nutshell, I've given you my sales pitch on why I really like this idea and how I would approach adding to this position going forward. You don't need to chase here. Nobody should chase. Trade your setups. I mean, you know how this stuff goes. Okay, so, and then the other question on the Q&A document, and Rob, maybe circle, just post in here if you could, whether you actually felt like you got a half decent talk on Rune there. It's fascinating how you picked that one of all one. And just let me know. We can always circle back, talk a bit more about this tomorrow. All right, number 2, hey, Brian. You often talk about eclipse cycles and the pivots within these cycles. Is this a theory that you developed from your experience, or is it common thing? I don't find much about this topic in the internet. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the shit that I teach you guys and talk to you guys about, you just can't find it on the internet. It's kind of a shame. But, you know, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. What I would suggest you do, Karim, is pull up a Bitcoin chart. And that's ironically enough, you know, I want to use my template as an example and just map out, just sit down one day, you know, block off like an hour or two, grab a weekly price chart and just highlight every time we have an eclipse and what happens following. That right there should be your sales pitch about why eclipses are so damn important. What would it have been in our best interest to pay attention through this? And more importantly, what was the direction of the market coming out of the eclipse window? I think that's the big message that we have to hear. Right now, I don't know whether I really want to get too wrapped up in what the market is feeling and doing right now. I want to pay more attention once we get on the other side of this window here. So right now, to me, all this is a market rallying back into resistance. And I think we talked to you guys about this before. It's too bad Meg's not here and Casey, but I'm sure you guys are watching this later on. But when I got together with Casey, geez, you know, that was about 5-10 years ago. He came to Vancouver with his wife, and we went out to an interesting evening. And he had on the cutest little bow tie outfit. And anytime I see a bow tie in the marketplace, I always think of Casey. So these lines aren't long enough, but I can't see where the hell's the damn drawing tool thing. Anyway, you're just gonna have to deal with it. This is the bow tie right there, and not a big surprise. We should definitely come back and revisit the middle of the bow tie again. That does not surprise me one bit. No idea how this is going to resolve. What I will say though is, number one, there is probably one of the richest guys in the world, and definitely one of the most influential people in the world, running this show now, which, for all the Bitcoin purists, it probably makes them sick to their stomach. You don't hear about that Antonopoulos guy anymore. I believe that Bitcoin has officially been taken over by the 1% and the bankster class, and it's completely out of the hands of sort of the people who originally had this dream. And frankly speaking, most of the public, they can't afford to come in and buy a Bitcoin at $60,000, $70,000 a piece. So he came out with, sorry, is that 1 o'clock? Yeah. Is it 1:10? Oh, yeah, I got to get out of here. So did I actually even answer this question? Oh yeah, this was the eclipses. All right. So what I would, in fact, you know what, Karim, this is your assignment. I'm sure you're going to be watching this afterward. I want you to go and pull up a chart and do some homework here. Right. The great part about this is that the proof of the pudding's in the eating. So you're going to go and Google, please show me or give me a calendar, dates, the last 10 eclipse windows. And then you're going to pull up your Bitcoin price chart, and you're going to just put vertical lines over the eclipse windows, and then post that chart on the site. And let's talk. That will basically happen about every 6 months. So that will be the last 5 years. And I'll tell you what, I'll even try and do the same study, and let's see whether our charts look similar. But I would just simply say this last eclipse was a perfect analogy where you can clearly see the market was in a trading range, and it was sort of waiting for permission to break out of the range, right? I mean, it had basically been going sideways for, what is that? Let's call it maybe 4 or 5 months. And I believe that the eclipse was the catalyst to release that energy. So, here we are. We're consolidated for 5 or 6 months. We're come into an eclipse window. And the question here is, what do we do on the other side? And as I had sort of been ranting on about there just a moment ago, keep in mind too that we're coming up to a pretty important time window here for Bitcoin. In that, if we actually look at our long-term Bitcoin charts, this is the one I'm looking for. We actually start getting to the point where we're transitioning out of the spring window, and we're transitioning into the summer window. Dun, dun, dun. And look what happens in the summer silly season. In this particular case, like I said, I think Mr. Fink is running the show here, and he just launched his Bitcoin ETF right in this area. So not a big surprise. Do you think he wants people who bought his Bitcoin ETF, all these hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of this thing? Do you think he wants to have somebody go to him? I bought your fucking Bitcoin ETF. I never believed in this bullshit. I listened to you, and now I'm underwater and I'm losing money. You suck, Larry Fink. Do you think he's going to take the chance of that happening? I mean, come on. So remember, this is capitalism. And he doesn't want to just sell his Bitcoins here. He just got the fucking shill going. There's the ETF right there. So you could make the argument that Bitcoin's been trapped between that low and that high for the past, 8 months. And somebody had pointed out, I thought this was really interesting. Somebody had pointed out, well, Brian, if we actually look at like a 52-week range for Bitcoin, Bitcoin's already done its 50% retracement, just like it did in that, crazy ass wick low following the halvening, which I thought was basically this cycle where the post halvening dump did nothing more than bring Bitcoin back down to 50% of its range over the past year, right? That was that low to that high. There was the 50% retracement, doink, and then see you later. So, and it's interesting too, if we look at that one and we go back to our long-term Bitcoin chart, right? So that's this one, I think. Yeah, right here. So there's spring. So I think we're sort of like right in here, and we're getting ready to transition into summer. And look at what summer did this cycle. So my hunch here, believe it or not, is we've gone through the correction. I think there's probably going to be a bunch of back and forth here through this eclipse window. Something like Bitcoin here, I could very easily see this thing come back and do something along those lines, maybe even do like reload zones. And to the person who was like, oh, no, that ruined, that thing's a sell. Mr. ICT says that's a sell there. I mean, from an investment perspective, and that's the way I would tweeted this out. I mean, I first told the guy, hey, you're probably right. I'm too stupid. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. You're probably right. But I could very easily see this rune come right back down into reload zones. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, the way that Mr. ICT does his thing is you want to see the market structure shift. I don't know whether I believe this is a market structure shift. Believe it or not, I actually think this high has to get taken out for that market structure shift signal. And then after that, we want to see a 61 pullback, 61.8 down into there. And this is me. I love this trade right here. So you want to go take out that high, probably trade up to that midpoint of that channel, and then pull back into 61.8, this good old mountain man. And I think that's an absolute no-brainer buy level right in there. And that also makes sense too. They'll eat this tail, and then they'll bring the market right back down into that tail. And you've heard me say things like candle body lows for a trade location. I love that level there. So if that happens, then yep, I'm totally happy with that talk that Mr. Smart Guy says that's a short. I actually don't like that as a short there. I think that's very dangerous, because I think what ends up happening here is we go A to B, C to D. Oops. There. So, ooh, I like that. Look at that. Whoa, nice drawing, Brian. So I like a push up into this area here, but anywhere along here, if you're like timing your purchases, I look at me, I'm a technician. I do not like a trade here, but I absolutely love if you are investing, little old ladies, as long as we are at or below reload zones, I am more than happy to be accumulating in this reload zone here. You want to time your purchases a little bit better. Okay, fine. Let this rally exhaust itself, and then on the subsequent pullback down against these bottom end of the range, you start hunting your trades in that area there. And actually, this is a pretty good anecdote of the entire crypto market. Same thing on this Conti. There's no way in hell I can justify anybody coming in and buying there. Reload zone pullbacks into support, great opportunity. And let's see whether we get kick-ass trade setup signals on the next pullback. So there you go. Okay, I'm officially late for Liam. Liam, sorry. But what the hell? I'll stay out with him extra hour or two. So hope you guys got some value out of that. Hope you feel as though, Karim, good to see you have your assignment. So tomorrow on our daily brief, the private show we'll do for the site I'm going to pull up your chart and I'm going to talk off of your eclipses, and let's see if they helped us in understanding market state. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't take no win nickels. The only thing left, Brian, to say to you good people is, wish us luck on the road today. Thank you, snowboarding JJ. Your karmic best wishes for Liam are greatly appreciated. And bye for now.